Hello, beautiful souls, beautiful warriors of light. How are you guys doing, soul family?
Hello, beautiful people. We're connecting to you from Tulum, Mexico.
Yes, this is actually our first time in Tulum, and we weren't sure. We actually thought we would not like the vibe because we felt like it would be too crazy, too chaotic. It's all of that, but what we're loving here is there's a whole bunch of really upscale restaurants, upscale boutiques, and we're really liking the vibe. And we're in this amazing hotel right on the beach. Literally, we have a rooftop lounge, and you walk down and there's white powdery sands, and we're right on the beach. In fact, we had to close the patio doors because if they're open, you can hear the sounds of the waves crashing. It's loud. We can't even hear each other.
That's a good problem to have.
That's a very good problem to have. And I'm feeling amazing.
And we just went for vinyasa yoga for an hour, and then we had a delicious vegan breakfast with like...
It wasn't vegan. I had smoked salmon.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
vegan plus
his
smoked
version
salmon.
of vegan is...
Well, it was mostly fruits and chia.
You had
puddings.
vegan because he had a coconut flour
I had
pancake.
some for salmon, which was delicious.
So we feel great. Our bodies feel like they've been locked up for so long because we haven't really been going on yoga and whatnot. Because of the intense ascension energies and all the pains we've been having, we've kind of locked ourselves, and now we're unlocking our bodies. So it feels amazing.
And it's got a very spiritual vibe. It's like everything here is like oriented towards health and wellness, which is completely our vibe.
Spiritual vibe, but not really spiritual vibe. It has a health and wellness vibe, I would say. It's like Bali, like, it's not spiritual. It's a bit ego spiritual.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It works for us because there's yoga in every corner. There's, singing bowls. There's whatever you need. You can get and nobody here wears masks. That's our favorite part. They don't even ask you. Even servers don't have their masks on, which is amazing. Okay, guys. So this is very interesting. What happened day before yesterday night. This was crazy. This was intense. It was I wanted to come on and make a video right away about it. So I was we were not here. We weren't in Tulum. We were still at our resort. We were at the Secrets Akumal. Yeah, it was a beautiful resort, but not like Tulum. We didn't really resonate with the resort as much as we resonate here. But anyway, long story short, in the middle of the night, the devil paid me a visit in my dream, and it was very vivid. It wasn't like I was sleeping. I was half awake, half asleep. And I remember every part of the dream clearly. And there's a huge message in this for ascension workers. There's a huge message in it for every light worker. So my guide said, you need to make a video on this as soon as possible because everybody needs to hear this. And I said, isn't that like giving the devil more focus?
Isn't that giving more focus to the negative and the dark aspect? But the message here is so important that we have to share it as is.
And it's not. Like talking about the devil is not giving him more attention, but it's actually giving you the tips of what might happen on your ascension journey.
What kind of pitfalls to look out for.
Yes. So this has never happened to me. He'll tell his story as well, which is very interesting. So anyway, the devil paid me a visit. Siman was in the dream as well. So Siman was very neutral in the dream. And the devil, what I remember from the dream is he looked about 10 years younger than us in the dream. He wasn't the higher up aspect. Okay, so let me tell you the dream and then we'll break it down. So he paid me a visit and he was trying to be very charming with me. He was working towards wooing me and mesmerizing me and saying, hey, you know what? You have my attention now and life's gonna be great and we can have a lot of fun together. And Siman was in the dream, but he was completely giving the devil a cold shoulder. Like he had a very hey, I know you, I see you, I know what you're doing, and I'm not falling for your tricks. He had that energy.
But I wasn't interrupting the lesson that EldoRa had to face either.
Yes, he wasn't interrupting at all.
In the dream.
Correct. He was neutral. He was just walking around like a space holder. Like that's your energy usually, at the retreats and stuff. So anyway, the devil said to me, I'm your brother. And he had an extremely narcissistic, how these narcissists are super charming. He had the most charming smile, and for lack of a better word, he was flirting with certain parts of my ego that may not be fully harmonized. Okay. I find that my ego I've been through a lot of my ego initiations. Siman has been through more ego initiations than I have, but I feel like I have one or two small ego initiations left, especially on our path. We're spiritual teachers, spiritual guides, we're public figures, and our energy is huge. So the first thing our guide said was, the devil paid you a visit because you guys are getting huge. You guys are energetically, you're huge, and now you have the devil's attention. And this is what happens to people in the world. Like, this is what happens to many of us, many people who can't really recognize, because the charm that he exuded was very tangible. So you know how I said to Siman, I said, you know how Siman has this charm as a light being? Like, you have this very fatherly charm, you have this very loving, this trusting charm. The devil had the same kind of charm, but in the other way. So it's the yin and the yang. You know what I mean?
It's like polar opposites. It's like for every light aspect, there's an equal opposing dark aspect.
Right. And I would say that your energy was more magnetic, because the devil, this wasn't the devil, this was one of his officers, because it was shown to me by my guides later that the devil, they have officers working for them, and they send their lower level officers, because a lot of energy is expended for these guys to even contact light workers such as us, and a lot of energy is exuded in even contacting us and wooing us and whatnot. So in my dream, the devil was trying to woo me and bait me, and all he was trying to do really was to become my friend. That was it. That was all. This was just the first dream, the first dream I've ever had.
Trust.
Correct. He was trying to just say, hey, you know, he was trying to present himself and not really go hard on anything, but he was just saying hello. And he didn't introduce himself as the devil, but it was very clear. It was just a knowing he was the devil.
And explain which part of your ego he was playing into, like the family aspect that you crave, soul family, like connection with the brother.
Yes, thank you for reminding me that. So the devil told me, I'm your brother, EldoRa, you can trust me. So he played on the part of my ego that misses having friends at our frequency, friends, soul family,
like
at
trusted confidants, like people we can depend on,
and just, you know, like friends we can just shoot the shit with. I know one of you said you loved that expression in the last video, like friends where we can just call each other and say, hey, what are you doing, let's meet up. We don't have friends.
Like, what's up?
Yeah, what's up, bitches? So we crave that, and I crave that a bit more than him. No, I don't crave it as much now, but somewhere in my psyche I'm like, one day in life we'll have friends that are not really that are not triggered by us. Their lessons don't come up, because a lot of times when we meet people, their lessons come up when they meet us, because our light or our intensity sheds light on their lessons. So as sweet as people are, sometimes I feel like their lessons come up, and it gets very intense for people to be around us, even if we don't say anything. Anyway, so the devil was playing on that part of my psyche and saying, I'm your brother, and finally, look, you're meeting someone at your caliber. Because remember, he was a high caliber, very charming, but of the dark, not of the light. And I remember he gave me a hug in my dream, and I felt no love. I felt nothing. I didn't feel negative, but I didn't feel any love. And I said, how come if you're my brother, I don't feel any love? This was all still in the dream. And when I said that, he kind of got a bit like pissed off, saying, what do you mean there's no love? So it's very easy. It was very easy for me to spot his triggers or spot his, you know, fakeness. And you know what I really found interesting? It was very clear that the devil in my dream had me hostage. This is very symbolic, you guys. He had me hostage. I don't remember the exact situation, but in that state of having me hostage, he was trying to woo me and not make me feel trapped, but instead he was trying to say, hey, I'm your friend, I'm your brother, I'm your soul family. And anyway, I woke up after that, and it was about 3 or 4 in the morning. Siman woke up, and I woke up and I'm like, oh my God, the devil was just in my dream.
I woke up at the same time, incidentally.
That's what woke me up. So anyway, the next morning, I remembered the whole dream. It was so clear, so clear. I spoke to my guides about it. Siman and I had a talk about it, and Siman had a crazy story. He's like, I've been paid a visit as well. We'll tell you that story in a second. So this is what my guides said to me. They said when ascension workers reach a certain level in their spiritual power, they get the devil's attention. And this is not just spiritual workers. Look at what's happening in the world. Look at all the
leaders and anyone with an influential position, like pop stars, actors, like CEOs, anyone with influence over the masses. they're approached by the dark. So,
anyone with big YouTube channels.
This is common on planet Earth.
Yes, it's very common, and that's why a lot of people, like a lot of singers, like Katy Perry, there's so many people who actually sing. There's one song even, I sold my soul to the devil. Remember? Do you know that song? I've seen it somewhere. So basically, that's where the term sold my soul to the devil comes from, because the devil contacts people, and those who have not harmonized their ego, who are not in their purity, who are not in their unconditional love, who can fall for the devil's, because the devil is very charming. He flirts with your ego like, I can give you fame. I can give you, soul family. I can give you whatever you want.
And the thing is, they know exactly what your weakness is, and they'll play to that weakness, and they'll come in as your best friend to fulfill that need for you.
Exactly, which is why he presented himself as the brother. So my guide said, EldoRa, this is very, very great that you were able to pause and notice how the devil was not of the vibration. Because the first thing I said to Siman was, I said, baby, how you're light and you're charming. This guy was dark and he was charming. So he was like the yin and yang of Siman, but he wasn't like your caliber. He was a much lower level officer from what I saw, but he was still very charming. Like you don't see that charm in human terms. Like I don't see that in regular men that I meet on the street. So my guide said, okay, EldoRa, this is an initiation that you and many other ascension agents and many other people on their light worker path, especially when their energy starts growing, you get the attention. When you become an influencer, you get the attention of these people. And basically my guide said, really, really watch your ego, because another thing is that the devil had a black, he was a good looking guy, really slim, really, really sexy looking, and he had like darker skin, tan skin, and he had black on his cheeks.
Just on his cheeks?
No, on his face. He had like black paint, like black stuff on his cheeks. And when I told Siman, the first thing he said was, why do you think that is? What is the devil a master of? A master of disguise. Yeah. He's a master.
It's a symbol that he's masking his true identity.
It was very clear.
That's how I interpret it.
It was definitely because he had black stuff on his face and it was very symbolic. So my guide said that's exactly what's happening. You have to be on ultra alert. This is what my guide said to me. They said because the best and the best and the best of people have fallen for the devil. And this is, I'm talking eons ago. They're saying the most pure, the most loving, the most serious people on their path have fallen for the devil, because the devil gives you fame like no other. Yeah. Like if you sign a deal with the devil, you can get anything. I can have 5 million subscribers overnight. So it's very easy for him to play on these things. Luckily, those are not parts of my ego he can latch onto, because we're already successful. We're already rich. What is he going to give us more of, right? Like we're infinite. I always say to Siman, we're not millionaires. We're infinite.
We have no lack.
We have no lack. We live our life in such luxury and openness.
It's because we're always in gratitude, so the universe is always giving us more of what we want.
So what's the devil? The devil can't. So he latched on to my craving of soul family, of connection with other people at my frequency. So it was very interesting. So this is an initiation that may come up at any point in your lives, you guys. This has happened to Siman. Tell them your story.
And this is not to say that the devil only approaches people who are rich and famous or who are very popular and influencers. The devil approaches people in their everyday life, like normal people who are just like average Joes. The devil is always going to be pulling your heartstrings. He's going to be pulling on your ego. He's going to say, wouldn't it be fun if you just had a fling, an affair outside of your relationship, or something simple like that? Wouldn't it be fun if you just like ate that dessert? Like every single moment you have like an angelic voice and a devil's voice.
Yes.
That's where the symbol comes from, that there's a devil on one shoulder and an angel on one shoulder. It's actually both aspects of our consciousness, the dark and the light, are part of us. And both aspects of our consciousness are actually helping us evolve. So there's one way of looking at the devil as an outside entity, but another philosophical way of looking at it is everything that exists within us, and everything in the universe is conspiring to help us evolve to get back to God's source. So know that even if you sometimes listen to the devil, to the dark side within you, you can always learn from those mistakes, because when we listen to the dark voice within us, when we listen to that voice that plays on the strings of our ego and that voice of ambition, and we always have to sacrifice something from our soul in order to get that prize or get that whatever he's promising you. So eventually, when you go against your soul, it always leads you down a path where you're going to regret it, and you're going to come to a realization like, oh my God, what have I done? Now it's too late.
Because it's a very slippery slope.
But the fact is, even if any one of us have made such a mistake, even if you have made this such a mistake like years ago, it's never too late, because you can always learn from your mistakes, and you can start brand new and press the reset button and say,
anytime,
I've learned my mistakes, I've put it to bed, I've sorted it out, and now I'm going to choose this. Because there's always a way to use every lesson as a step in the ascension ladder. And that's what we really want to focus on here.
And before you talk about your story of when the devil contacted you, I actually want to say, at the retreat, at our recent retreat in Costa Rica in February of this year, every single action, every single word that came off our mouth was completely channeled. Even the retreat curriculum was channeled. Like every morning we would get the curriculum for the day. Everything we had prepared we were asked to throw out the window. And we were really ascended masters we were in our ascended master state in the retreat. And you know what happened on the last day? We had our ecstatic dance. So we danced. It was my favorite night of the whole retreat. That's when the 5D, that's when all the codes that you've been given in the retreat, they sink and they anchor in your light body. At the very end, so we played angelic, Siman, he plays angelic, what is that, 432 hertz music?
Yeah.
All his music, he plays house music. He's a house music DJ and my favorite DJ.
Thank you.
And many of their favorite DJs too. Like, he's amazing. So anyway, we had this great dance, and at the end, when he turned off the music, he came towards me, and I was Isis in the retreat. I was completely my higher self. And I said to him, and he was completely his higher self. And I said to him, I said, baby, and we're very psychic. When we talk to each other, we're very psychic. Half the time I don't have to tell him in words what I need, and he knows. And I looked at him and I said, baby, I would love that song. And he said, do you mean Shallow? Now, Shallow is sung by Lady Gaga, who, as you guys know, is completely the dark side, right?
Wow.
And think about it, at the retreat, this was at the very end, this was the last thing we ever did at the retreat, because it was all light, and everybody's darkness came up, shadows came up, and we cleared the shadows, we cleared the darkness, we did all of that. Look at how symbolic it is. I didn't know at the time why I said that. I looked at him and I said, out of the blue, I said, Shallow, and he played it. It was magical. Everybody hugged. Now, this is Lady Gaga, like she's the devil. But think of how symbolic it is. We were all hugging, we were all dancing, we were slow dancing. We were paying homage, we were paying tribute to the dark. We were saying it was so magical. I even have a video, if possible, I'll insert it here. If not, I'll insert it in my Telegram on another day. I can't do it here because YouTube has all crazy rules about copyright and stuff. I'll put it on my Telegram channel. I'll add the link here if you guys want to join. And we played that, and it was magical, and the message we got was, that was mastery, you guys, because you've been playing so much in the light all week. At the very end, you played that song and you thanked the dark for its service, because the dark plays a big role. The dark, what it does is it reflects to you all the areas where you still have to harmonize. It reflects to you your dark self by saying, hey, you want this? You want to come here? I can give you money. You want to come here? I can give you fame. Or you want to come, it's always tempting you. You want to have an affair? Like, who's this guy? Like, once I remember a few years ago, the devil even tried to, not the devil, but like the dark, even said to me, you're Isis. You have so much energy. You should have 10 sex partners. You should have 10, remember?
Yeah.
And I said to him, baby, the dark is going to so many lengths to woo me. Like, that's how the dark corrupts you. A lot of people think this is tantra. They think this is being free. They think this is not free. Like, going around and sleeping around is not unless you do it in a sacred way. But
yeah, it's not to say that monogamy is the only way, and
Not at all.
if you're not in a monogamous relationship, then you're a bad person. But there are certain frequencies of the heart that your soul just recognizes. So either you're driven by your lust, or you're driven by your love, right? So that's the key here.
I love that. Lust
Yeah.
or love. So the dark will be very cunning in the way they present these things to you. So if you're not following it right, you'll say, ooh, I'm Isis. I was like a goddess of the, ancient mystery schools of sex and love, and I was a seductress. My God, like, why should I just be with Siman? I can be with 10. You can go down that very slippery slope, but the way to identify if this is your higher self or your lower self is start thinking about, is it love or is it lust? You can have lust with your lover, but not go around and we're just going into topics. We're trying to give you guys the flavor of how the dark flirts with your ego, so that you can catch it when it happens.
And the human experiment is such that we were the species that was designed in this universe after eons and eons of galactic wars between the dark and the light. So the human experiment was chosen because the human being embodies the genetic code of all of the beings in this galaxy. So we have Lyran aspects, we have Sirian aspects, Pleiadian, Andromedan, like I can't even name it. We have tens of thousands species worth of DNA within our beings. So the human experiment is a genetic experiment. We are an experiment to harmonize all the light and the dark aspects that have existed in our galactic history so far. And now that we're ascending, we're not just in the past epochs of time when civilizations ascended, they ascended as beings who had mastered the light. But for the first time, we are ascending out of such a dark planet, and we have learned the lessons from the darkness as well as the light, that we are not only becoming masters of the light, but we are embodying the lessons and becoming masters of the dark and the light.
We are owning our shadows. Like, let's say you have a shadow that all your life you've been criticized for. All your life. Like, think of any shadow. What you've been criticized for all your life as your shadow is actually, you'll learn this on your path to enlightenment, is actually your biggest strength. And the reason it was criticized is because it wasn't harmonized. It was just 3 levels too high. It was 3 notches too high. It was a bit too much. So you'll realize on your path that, oh my God, everything I've been criticized for is actually my strength. Every time I had the common sense to ask this question, when people said, hey, why are you being so eager, or enthu, or it could be any shadow of yours, these are my strengths. So you start harmonizing your darkness, your shadows, and instead of it being out of whack, you harmonize it to make it your biggest strength. And this is how we are embodying our dark and our light. Like Siman, and I'll give you a very tangible example. Before you go, but
Yeah.
make sure his example is amazing as well. Last night we went out.
I was going to tell the same example.
Go ahead.
No, you tell it.
Okay,
you tell
fine.
it better.
Last night we went out for a really sexy dinner in Tulum. All of last week, Siman and I didn't leave our hotel room because we weren't up to it. We just stayed in our room, meditated. We literally didn't go out. We didn't step into one pool in our resort for a week. Anyway, so last night we were feeling really good. We went boutique shopping, and then we went to a really sexy lounge for dinner, a Greek dinner. And our server was great. He took care of us. He was great. And we are very good tippers. Like, when someone gives us good service, even though the tip already is included, like 10% is included, we'll give another 10% or another 15%.
I've been a server in my college days, so I really feel for how hard they work, and I make sure that we both make sure that we always tip really well.
So this guy, he doesn't know us, right? And in Tulum, we find people are a bit money-minded, like servers and stuff. So at the end of the thing, he gave us the credit card machine, and he looked at us and he said, sir, in Tulum, the normal tip is 15%. So shall I go ahead and make it 15%?
Or you can make it 20 if you want.
Oh yeah, or you can make it 20%. And they had already added 10% on the thing. And he's like, how much would you like? And Siman just he said, yeah, at 12%. And the guy looked at him and he said, sir, it has to be 15%. So Siman said, all right, you know what?
My guard just went up at that point.
His guard went up and my FU went up like right away. And I am extremely psychic. I can see all these things even 10 steps before they happen. Like, I'm a bit too psychic for my own good sometimes.
No, it's really good.
It's very good, but I'm so psychic.
It
Sometimes
helps us navigate through things that sometimes I can't even see.
seriously, I see things very clearly, very clearly. So
She's got this tunnel vision in her third eye.
and right away I could see this greedy bastard, you know. I'm like, this greedy bastard, like he's gonna lose out on his tip. And I was just quiet.
It was a very slimy, hungry
Very.
energy that didn't jive with us.
So Siman said, all right, just make the tip 0 and I'll leave you cash. And as soon as he left, Siman said, he's like, do you have $10? Let's just leave him $10 tip of a tip. And I was already noticing his slimy behavior, but we hadn't yet talked about it. So he's like, whatever, just leave $10. And the guy looked at us and he says, sure, make sure you leave me the tip in cash. And he walked away. And I looked at him and I said, I don't think we should leave this greedy bastard a tip. Like, why are we giving a tip to someone who is so... This is how you own your dog. Like, we're not all love and light. So anyway, as we were walking out, we didn't leave him a tip. And as we were walking out, we said, bye, thank you very much. And he was like,
and he came up to me, he's like, sir, I thought everything went so well.
No, first he was looking at our, instead of saying bye to us.
Yeah, when we were walking out, instead of looking at us, his eyes was right on the table. He's like, my money must be somewhere there. Like, I can't see it from here. Maybe it's the wrong angle.
So he came right up to Siman. He confronted him. He's like, did I do something wrong? You didn't give me a tip?
And I was like, listen, buddy, like, I've been a server. I know what you guys do. But at the end of the day, if you're going to act like a pushy person and try to force a tip out of me, that's a huge turnoff. That's a no-no. And just to make it a point, we didn't leave you a tip this time. So
and he didn't get it.
Just by being so hungry for it. It's like when you're running after something so badly, it eludes you. And we get really turned off when someone's trying to push themselves on us and overpower us. And that's exactly the vibe we got. And it was a complete turn off. So we're like, no thank you, and we probably won't even go to that restaurant
and
anymore.
He was shocked. No, we don't need to not go, but we won't, because we have other restaurants to go to. But he was shocked, because one of the things this guy is used to, and instantly his guides showed me that this little fellow has a huge problem with, he's learned to take advantage of people. He's learned to speak
because most people are so weak that if the server pushes them, they just think, oh yeah, I'm supposed to tip. So if he's telling me 15%, then that's the minimum I should give him. So they get swayed by these smooth talkers. But when we see these charlatan kind of behaviors, it's a big no-no.
Like, for someone who really does a good job, we'll give... Like, there have been times where we'll give a taxi driver $500 because we really connect with him. It's not about the money, but when we see this greedy behavior, we have no tolerance for it. And we made sure we let him know. We said, if you had just backed off, you might have got a $20 tip, my friend. Even if you had slightly backed off, you would have at least got $10. But with this greedy attitude,
we were very vocal to make sure that he got the idea. We're like, we saw your greed.
And he was shocked.
We saw the greed in your eyes.
Yeah.
And he was shocked because nobody talks like that.
Because people are used to getting away with this bullshit. So this is how you harmonize your
And this is another thing that's happening right now on planet Earth, that when there's narcissist behaviors, we're as empaths, we're speaking up, we're standing in our power. We're no longer being swayed by these narcissist behaviors and playing along with their games anymore. We're not letting them push us anymore. We're saying, this stops here. This is my boundary, and if you push it, you're not in my reality. And
guys, this is how you own your dark. This is how you own. And let me clarify.
You have to have a little fuck you in your aura.
Exactly. That's what it is. That's a huge lesson. Have a little bit of, yes, I'm love and light. Yes, I'm unconditional love. Yes, I'm a really good soul. And the world has seen a lot of spiritual leaders like that, the love and light. But right now, Siman and I have actually a soul contract for this lifetime to bring back the fuck you too, which is why we say love, light, and fuck you too.
That's what's missing from the DNA of light workers. That's why we're pushovers. That's why everybody is taking advantage of our niceness.
Exactly.
So that's no longer happening.
It's not an option.
Gonna fly.
So anytime you're in a situation like that, really own so that's when you own your aspects of your ego and say, honey, you greedy bastard, you're trying to fuck around with me.
Yeah, we've been around the block. We know how it works.
We know how it works.
Just smile and move on.
Exactly. And don't let it trigger you.
Yeah, we weren't triggered at all. We were just we went about our day. That's it. So my story is very interesting. I've been DJing for about a decade or a little more than a decade. And I started with weddings and clubs, and it was like
Inside story. I said to Siman, I said, how long have you been DJing? 20 years? And he's like, no, people will think I'm really old if I say 20 years.
okay.
So if you tell
The
me
cat's
that.
out of the bag. A little more than
He's
10.
younger than me, you guys. He's like, what? You're 42?
I'm 40 something. I'm 35.
Well, I'm 16. Anyway, go on.
So basically, the way I started was like in clubs and bars and all these places where it was like just the dark vibe. But I had such a inner burning desire to DJ, but I wasn't able to DJ with the kind of music that I like. Like what my soul resonated was with this very specific blueprint of soul kind of like spiritual house music, uplifting music with a message, and that's what I'm doing now with House of Ra. And for those of you who are not aware, we'll put a link here. We have a podcast on Mixcloud, and a new mix is going to be uploaded soon. We already have 2 mixes up there. So it's like spiritual house music that is also embedded with quantum frequencies. So what we do is when we're playing house music, we're actually, before that, we do a ceremony and we create a temple of light. We bring in all the powerful beings of light, and it's actually embedded with healing quantum frequencies. And when people listen to this music, they actually drop a lot of their blocks and shadows, and it's very uplifting.
And they also start feeling the 5D frequencies. That's another part of our soul contract, is to create heaven on earth. And what that is, and our guys were just telling us this yesterday, they're saying, Siman and EldoRa, you're the first people on earth who are, one amongst the first people on earth, who are living this 5D life. And I said, what do you mean by that exactly? I always like to ask my guys like thorough questions. And they said, you've activated your twin flame love, you've activated your abundance, you've activated your inner state of happiness, you've activated to a large extent mastery in your physical, mental, spiritual and emotional bodies. You are the masters, and when masters have love and abundance and wisdom and power, and they're living this amazing heaven on earth life, what happens is it magnetizes new earth into the reality.
Exactly.
And when you magnetize new earth into the reality, you're the pioneers, one of the pioneers in magnetizing new earth to the planet. And I was like, we're doing that.
Exactly.
Like we kind of knew it, but the guys, when they said it exactly, they're like, you guys have no idea how much we depend on you for your inner state of bliss. That we're always in a state of bliss. We're joking around, we're having fun, we're making love, we're always like, you know, when I think of our lives, a graphic vision, guys, of our lives is the Garden of Eden.
Yeah,
like we're always in this state of inner play,
because
and our guys,
we're creating it and we're choosing the Garden of Eden.
Yes.
We're shaking off our darkness, and we're always jump starting into an uplifted mood.
Yes.
And
so our guys basically are saying that when you do so, his music is a direct activation.
It's a 5D
of our
anchor.
Frequency imparted by music to everyone listening.
Yeah.
So when people listening to the music, they actually get a glimpse of our lives. That frequency is what you can use to magnetize 5D to your life.
Yeah.
That frequency
and many
of
of us were also sound shamans in the times of Atlantis, and I've had many glimpses of my past lives in Atlantis where I was a sound healer. And I feel that in this current incarnation, I'm bringing back all those gifts of mastery that I had as a sound healer, but now I'm channeling that as a DJ in the music and embedding frequencies with crystals. So when I was starting out in my DJ career, I had a lot of success because I was so passionate about it. And there was a point where I started getting noticed in the industry. I was mostly DJing in the Bollywood industry. And for those of you who know some big stars like Shah Rukh Khan, Priyanka Chopra, Shahid Kapoor, all of these people, I've done events for them. So
these are the top celebrities.
I started
in
getting
Bollywood.
noticed in the Bollywood circuit, and then everybody wanted me. Like when you get noticed, everybody wants to hire that DJ, right? So I was that guy. And I was loving it. I was having fun. I had a full-time IT career, but DJing was like my soul. It was my passion. And I was like I used to stay up until the wee hours of the morning. I still do just working on my music and perfecting the art, and like I was pouring so much love into it that I saw so much success. And at that time I had a very similar experience as EldoRa. So I had a visitation by the devil in that moment when I was about to become big and break through that barrier. And the devil also paid me a visit at that time, and he enticed me with he said, you
Was
can
it
have
in a dream as well?
I don't remember. I think it was more of a psychic vision because I just remember it happened, but I don't remember a specific point in time when it happened. It was just more of a knowing. So
You even told me
it
about
was-
this 4 or 5 years
yeah,
ago. You
it was
said
not.
the devil.
It was
Yeah.
not in a dream, but he clearly came, and the message he gave me was that I can promise you unlimited success, unlimited wealth, unlimited riches, the life of your dreams. You can have women, you can have cars, you can have mansions. You'll be so successful beyond your wildest imagination. All you have to do is follow my lead. Like, they'll entice you with a certain offer that looks too good to be true. They'll give you exactly I was never power hungry, but they were really trying to get to me one way or another. But I feel that I've been through all of these initiations on other planets, so I came to this planet just to teach. So I literally looked at the devil with bored eyes, and I'm like, dude, you're wasting your time with the wrong person. And I moved on.
That was the same expression you had even in my dream.
Exactly.
The devil was trying to woo
'Cause-
me, and you weren't allowed to interfere.
Yeah.
So you just had this guardian energy around me. You were looking, but you weren't interfering. You weren't
Yeah.
stopping him.
Yeah, exactly. So the point being here is that every one of us at one point or another in our life are going to be enticed by the darkness within us.
So what happened? Did he come back, or once
no,
you said no,
I
he was
just
out?
shoot him off, and
Was
and
it a high officer or one of the lower guys? Do you remember?
it wasn't like the head honcho, but it was one of his like
Officers.
generals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they had power. Like, they could actually deliver on their promises. If I had said yes, they would actually start working with me and giving me fame. And they do this with lawyers. They do this with like
Judges.
Yeah, people with influence, politicians, and a lot of these Hollywood celebrities. This is exactly how they go down the wrong path, because
Yes.
they're given an opportunity that seems too good to be true.
And they don't recognize, many of them,
Yeah.
many people don't even recognize it's the devil, because this guy seems like your family, like your brother.
Yeah, and all of these cabal, all of the people who've been doing all these sacrificial rituals behind the scenes, they've all said yes to the devil when he enticed them. So it can happen to anyone, and it can happen to anyone at any point in their life. So just because you're a powerful light worker, even if you've been steadfast on your path for 20 years, doesn't mean that you're bulletproof. You can make one small mistake. You can say yes to the wrong opportunity, and you can be blindsided by your ego and hungry for fame, power, wealth, and then it's over. Once you say yes, you take a fall, because the higher you go, the lower you fall.
And also, I feel like it's once you say yes, so what happens is they try to create a rapport with you. So that this was just the first dream.
Yeah.
If I had like started thinking or missing him, or started thinking about him, because it's a very charming personality.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I miss him, that brother of mine, that charming, sexy guy, when is he going to come back? Then the next time they keep wooing you in different ways until they get your trust. And that's when the manipulation starts. And once you go down that road and you kind of start doing favors for them,
Yeah.
or you start, if he says to you, hey, talk about the jab, or talk about this and whatever, I'm
Yeah.
just making this up. Like, let's say they start saying, hey, you do this work for us and we'll give you that. And let's say you fall for it, you've signed the deal.
Yeah.
Once you sign the deal,
Then you become
their bitch.
You become their bitch.
Exactly.
Basically, you're their slave. So once you say yes, they always entrap you in a system that it's almost impossible to get out of, because it's like you've sold your soul to the devil. You have to, in the moment when you first are presented with the option, it's easy to say yes or no. It's very enticing to say yes, and it's very difficult to say no, because it's like the offer is so good that it's hard to say no.
if it's hard to say no, it means you have a lot more of your ego to harmonize. Because if
Exactly.
your ego is harmonized, it's actually very easy to say no.
Yeah.
But they harp on to parts of your ego that are not harmonized. So the bigger
Yeah.
the ego, which is why ego is the last veil between you and God, between you and your divinity, between you and your enlightenment. Ego is it.
And ego has so many layers,
Oh
and
my
it's so
God.
subtle that it can creep up in you in ways that you cannot even imagine. That's why even seemingly ascended master beings have to be wary of their ego. And on earth, nobody is exempt. On earth, there's so many polarities that you always have to watch your back.
Awesome. I'm glad we made it.
Yeah.
Great, you guys. Just wanted to hop on and make
This
that
was
quick.
quite like
and
different from our regular
and
topics.
you know what I love is that for 10 years or whatever, he wanted to say 20, but you guys still think he's young, right? Well, anyway, he's been DJing like what, 12 years? Really? What's the real number?
My first event was 2003, so it's been
You're that old?
okay, I'm old. Fine.
Okay, so anyway, what I was saying was, you see how he's been prepared for all of that for whatever, so many years he's been DJing. He reached the apex of his career to prepare him for today, because right now part of his soul contract and our soul contract is to bring back sound to planet Earth. Me with my voice, I'm getting all kinds of voice activations, guys, and apparently I used to be a big singer in Atlantis. I used to...
Not a singer, like a shamanic priestess.
That's what I mean, like a priestess in Atlantis, not a singer.
Not a pop singer.
Like I used to heal with my sound.
Yeah.
I used to heal with my energy, with my hand, whatever. I've been shown all these visions. And he's a sound alchemist, so he brings music, he brings angelic frequencies, and
even in my healings, I bring sound elements like rattles, singing bowls, and those crystal pyramids and all that.
And the way healing instruments work is that it depends on who's playing them. So let's say someone is playing them and they have extreme purity of heart. So let's say you have a musical instrument. The musical instrument is going to directly channel your energy. You know what I mean? So if you're playing the singing bowls, if you're doing the rattle, or if you're DJing, your vibration, your energy, and your consciousness travels through the music, through the sound, to activate people on the other side. So music is actually a very 6D frequency, which is why that's one of our very main soul contracts, is to bring back music to planet Earth with angelic frequencies. So it's huge, but you see how you've been playing for all those years, and now you're back to your soul's because in Toronto,
at that time I used to DJ with a passion, but I wasn't doing what I loved.
Yes.
And now with the awakening and ascension and House of Ra coming together, and we're planning events in the future with these festival vibes and just light workers and bliss and clean, pure, no alcohol, no substances, just pure love and
kombucha,
connection and music and celebrations.
We used to host such events in Toronto, but Toronto was also our it wasn't with our soul family. It wasn't with our soul family. In fact, there was some events where they were public events where people would come and we could psychically see, because our psychic third eye was wide open. Even back then, we could see people sending us hate and jealousy
even
with a
psychic
smile.
Attack
with a
in
smile.
Some events.
And so we thought, oh my God, is this the soul family that we were told by our guides? Is this the community? And we never knew that we were just in the training ground. We thought, oh my God,
and we
FML.
cannot wait to party with our soul family. When the borders open up, one of the first things we're planning is to line up an event.
Yes,
and just
we're so excited and just
celebrate.
Party. It's just
Celebrate.
Party. And little did we know that when we were in the rings of hellfire, really doing those events in Toronto, that was our highest training ground, you guys. See how powerful that is. Once you go through the training, once you go through the initiations, and you become rock hard, you become foolproof, you know how to handle negativity, you know how to, and you still show your commitment and your steadfastness by going out there and giving your best and having those values even when they're not being received well.
I remember in our events, EldoRa used to be wiping the floors with her hands at midnight after a long 6 hours.
Because we didn't have the help. We didn't have the right help. We didn't have the right crew.
We had to do everything with our hands. I used to dismantle huge setups and back-breaking work. And now we're solid.
And now we have a team. We'll have a full production team. We'll have everything. We'll literally have someone, we've got all the codes and the blueprints because of Toronto. So Toronto was a very powerful learning experience for us, and now we've got all the tools, all the tricks, all the tips, all the guidelines in our back pocket, and now we're ready to go on our soul's mission with you guys. So excited. I love you guys. We'll upload this now. Bye,
Take
you
care,
guys.
Love you.
Take care.